Hi, I'm Nicola Cairncross.
Hi, hello, hey, hi.
I'm going to talk to you about success.
Hi everyone, it's Nicola here, and I'm coming to you again from the corner of my ex-husband Irving's living room. And today I'm using Phoebe's ring light, so you might be able to see some extremely strange reflections in my eyes. But it's a very good light. It gives a real good overall glow. I don't know about that. I'm glowing, so I've just been packing. Literally just about to get on a plane for Brisbane tonight, which is going to be an awfully long journey. I'm trying to make sure I've got plenty of things to do so I don't end up watching the endless hours of films that I did last time, although that's not a bad thing, I suppose. So yeah, off to Brisbane to speak for Neil's Aussie Entrepreneurs, and Matt Duggan is coming along too, so it's going to be really good fun there. And we're all staying in an Airbnb somewhere in Brisbane. I've got no idea. I'm a first to arrive, so I have to navigate through the instructions to find the key. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I've got a couple of days to get over the trip, and then I might meet some people for coffee, stroke dinner, stroke lunch. And then it's into the weekend, Friday and Saturday, I think, or Saturday and Sunday. I'm not absolutely sure which. So looking forward to that, and then I come back and I go to Chipping Norton with a client, and then I'm off to Paris because Heather's staying in Paris for 3 weeks singing over there, so I'm going to go and visit her over there. Exciting few weeks, and then back to Greece. So here we are in Brisbane, Neil Asher with me again.
Hello.
And you know Neil from last week, and today I'd like to talk about how you came to have the idea for the event we're going to be doing, what it's all about, and how you went about organising it.
The event, I'd love to sit here and tell you that I'm a genius, and the reason that we're having the event is because I came up with such a wonderful idea, but that would be flat out lying to you. So I won't do that. The event was as a result of the people in our community asking for it.
Oh really?
So they basically just said we should be getting together more. And what I noticed was that they would. Let me backtrack a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
There's a great story from the University of Sydney where I went to and did my psych degree. So the University of Sydney, they created a new campus and a new building on the campus. And before they had decided where they were going to put all the paths leading around the campus, they thought they'd do something different. So they thought they'd let the users tell them where the paths should be. So what they did, they put grass everywhere along the campus. Everywhere was grass, okay? And then over a period of 6 months, people would just walk around, make their own paths wherever it felt best for them. And then all they did was they took the roots, which have now been worn down, of course, no grass there anymore, and they paved over them, and that became the paths. And so in that way, they had the perfect routes as said by the students themselves, rather than some architect saying, here's where they should be. The students said, here's where we want them. So that's something that's really stuck with me about a business as well, and life in general, but that's really stuck with me. So what I did with the Aussie Online Entrepreneurs was I give them an inordinate amount of freedom within our community to network with each other, to get in contact with each other, to make sure that the community serves them much more than it serves me. And one of the things I noticed was more and more people were trying to organise meetups where they want to get together, whether that be in couples for coffee or in larger groups to get together and just talk about the businesses.
Things, yeah.
And I thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder what the natural progression of that would be. And so I just kind of did a bit of a straw poll within our community and said, well, given that this is happening, who'd be interested in having a big get-together, basically a big party for 2 days where we all get together and I'll come in there and bring some fantastic experts like Nicola along, and we talk about how to build your businesses, but it's also a great opportunity to get together and do that sort of thing that you've been wanting to do anyway, but let's do it in a formalised way so that you can do it more effectively.
And learn while you're doing it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's something I noticed in a lot of the forums I'm in, that people start organising meetups. It's obviously a common human need to connect. Unlike us who recluses, introverted recluses.
Happiest behind my computer screen.
That's right. So that's good news that you can become a successful internet entrepreneur even if you're an introvert. Yes. But I mean,
Seminar speaker.
Yeah, I know. I love speaking at seminars. I love going out. But we were talking about it at lunchtime, weren't we? There'll come a certain point in the evening when you'll want to.
Yes.
You'll have to detach yourself and go off for some quiet time, and I was saying that's probably just as I'm winding up. second glass of wine down.
Third or fourth glass of wine.
But yes, I'll be the life and soul of the party at that point, and then
I'll be
at
like,
some point.
I've got to go, man.
Yeah. He's put me on first thing in the morning on Sunday, which is really. In fact, I might have to lean on you to put me on the graveyard shift after lunch.
That was done on purpose.
Yeah, it was. Because I am quite responsible, really. So how did you? Okay, so having decided then, what did you then do to decide which city it was going to be in and find yourself a venue and all that stuff?
Well, that's when the kind of data geek in me came out. So what I did was I looked at all of I used MemberMouse as my membership software, and within that you get to have a lot of data available to you. And so it's pretty simple to do. All I did was I exported all the information. I looked at where all the locations of the people were around Australia, and then I looked at, for instance, we're in Queensland, so I would look at, of the people in Queensland, how active are they on the forum?
Oh, right.
And the more active they were, the more likely it was that would become the venue, the location for the seminar.
No, I thought you just picked the furthest part, the furthest city from anyone else in the whole wide world. That's where
it does seem that way. It does seem that way. We are at the, I won't use the term that I ought to be using, we're at the back end of beyond.
Yeah, it's a very nice city though, Brisbane, what I've seen of it so far. So then, is there much involved in organising an event like this? I know he's been in and out all day, Ubering all over the city.
I ought to have shares in Uber, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, is there much to do?
Yes, there is.
I've been blissfully unaware of all this.
I won't lie to you, it's a lot of work. But I think as long as but there is a lot of help available as well. And that's always been something that I know Nicola agrees with here. If you can find somebody who's been there and done that and can fast track it for you, then that's money well spent. And so that's what I did. I invested in a program, Seminars 101 sort of program.
Oh really? I didn't know that. You didn't tell me that.
And that's got all the checklists in it. That's got
really?
all the sort of things in it. For that sort of thing, I'm not normally a particularly good checklist kind of guy. But for a seminar, it made a lot of sense because I didn't want to forget anything. I didn't want to screw up for the people attending. I wanted to make sure it was a great thing for them.
Yeah.
So that was really, really useful, and that really gave me a lot of things that I hadn't thought about as well to incorporate. Some of which I kept, some of which I discarded. But overall, it's simple. In as much as it's just check boxes.
Yeah.
You know, organise your venue, get your AV organised, make sure your sound is working properly, make sure that the laptops are there and things like that.
Make sure there's a battery in your clicker.
Make sure you've got clickers, batteries and clickers, backup batteries for clicker, etc, etc. So it is pretty simple, but it's kind of like paint by numbers. As long as you can paint between the lines, you're okay.
Yeah, and you filled it 3 months ago or something, didn't you?
I did. Well, generally speaking, what happens with seminars is you'll get 50% of the people signing up in the last week of the promotion.
It's terrifying.
It happens all the time, doesn't it? The last week of the promotion before the seminar. Now, this is terrible and terrifying because it doesn't allow you to plan properly for the numbers involved and to make sure, because the hotel needs to know way in advance how many people are going to be in the room. You need to know which size room you need, what catering needs to be provided, all those kind of things. The hotel is constantly badgering you for that information. And so, like Nicola, we've done a lot of seminars together. And so I wanted to do something different. And so what I thought was, I wonder what would happen if I pretended the date for the seminar was 3 months earlier and did all of my marketing around that earlier date in my mind, of course, not to the people that they still believed it was when it is, which is tomorrow.
I hope they believe it's tomorrow.
Yeah, they were there 3 months before. What the heck?
So you ran your marketing as if the closing date to book tickets was 3 months ago.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah. So everything I did in my marketing, I made it so that I was aiming towards a date, a cut-off date, and I even said, here's what I'm doing. I know from previous experience that these things fill up fast, which they do. I didn't mention the fact that they fill up fast on the Friday night before the Saturday people are still booking. I didn't mention that.
We've had people turn up on the morning of an event. Unbelievable.
Paying cash on the door.
Yeah, trying to anyway. Yeah. I think it went in Judy's pocket.
Yeah.
No, I can't say that.
Down the bar.
Yeah. Yeah, so people will leave it as long. I mean, I'm one of the worst offenders. I hate committing in advance.
Well, what I did was I used a lot of social proof. So as soon as people started joining, and because there's 50% that will join early and want to join early and want to get it done and dusted, and that's their personality types.
Get it in their diary.
Get it out of the way. I know I'm doing that. That's great. So there's 50% of the people will do that. And so what I did was I then started sending out emails saying, here's the 50 people that have already joined, and named them. And because we're so open in the group, you recognise names. So you go, oh well, there's Ian, there's Sue, and I recognise Steve. And so you saw names.
All the cool people are going.
Everybody's going over there, and you go, oh shit. So and then I'd start, and you better hurry up because seats are filling fast.
Yeah. And
as a result of that, seats started filling up fast, and so it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. And we filled the event 3 months before. Something's
just flashed into my mind. The one thing we mustn't do, which we did last time.
Go on.
Give everyone the norovirus. People still talk about that. Jay just mentioned the other day, in fact, I don't know if he watches these, but Jay just mentioned the other day that event which made us all sick. We think it was me, we've got no proof that it was. But anyway, I got sick first, so we've got to think it was me. But yeah, that was terrible, wasn't it? We locked them all in the room.
Come in here, breathe these germs.
Yes, absolutely. We didn't realise it was airborne as well. So there you go. So that's one thing you mustn't do. That's on the tick list. Things I mustn't do at my event.
Don't bring norovirus to events.
No, definitely not. But everyone enjoyed the content though, didn't they?
They did until afterwards, and then they regurgitated the content in another
Oh no! Anyway, we're supposed to be keeping these short. So on the complaint of Peter Wood, who says they're always too long. So that's enough for today. I think. Thank you very much for joining me, and we might crack another one out before we. Oh no, I can't say that. I'll have to go with the bloopers.
Yes.
So I'll try and do a small recording for you from the event, or a little compilation of the whole event. Speak to you soon. Bye. And finally, on the podcast this week, we've been talking not only about book marketing, but how, if you're an expert, you can start your marketing plan from scratch if you've got something brilliant to share and not quite sure how to go about it. And we're also talking this week about how to run multiple businesses. Both Judith and I have done this, and I'm not sure we ever would again, but it's something a lot of entrepreneurs fall prey to, and we discussed that on the podcast this week. So go to ownitthepodcast.com, and on my website this week we've just released the interview with Jenny Hott, who is Google certified multi-million blogger. And she tells the story of how she was very unhappy working in PR in New York and then moved down to Mexico and carried on working in PR, still very unhappy, but decided she was going to make a complete change and started a health and wellness blog. And she really worked hard at it for the first few years, and it's kept her going ever since. She's now married and with a baby, and she only has to work once every 3 to 4 months if she wants to. So it just goes to show that a content-rich blog can still make you independently wealthy. So go and check that out on nicolacairncross.com/blog.